Cindy here with Stampin' Chick Creations. I just wanted to do a quick video for you on a card that I have decided to do for my second swap. So I decided in the earlier video I might have told you that I decided to do Jar of Flowers as the showcase stamp set, but I like to actually show how a lot of our stamps work nicely together, so that I decided to bring in Country Home to work with it. So the card that I designed actually implements both of these, which really shows how our stamp sets are very versatile and how you can actually mix and match a lot of our stamps together. So I'll show you the card that I designed, and then we'll make it together, and I'll show you how easy it came together. So this is it here. So you'll notice that I actually just used the milk jug from Country Home. And then of course I used the sunflowers, because if you know me, I'm a sunflower girl. So that was obviously a clear-cut choice. So this card looks pretty simple, but it actually just opens as such. And I have not decorated the inside on this one yet, but and I modified this a smidge. I made it a little bit smaller, and I'm going to tell you why when we get going. So the other item that I have decided to bring in to showcase is this embossing folder, which is from the Forever Greenery bundle. It's a 2-pack, and it is much more narrow than what we are used to seeing. And that is actually because this will fit into our mini die cutting and embossing machine when it is available. So it's a great size, actually. I wasn't so sure when I first saw it, but I love the size because it's great for smaller projects. So it comes in a 2-pack with another one that the pattern is more kind of the small leaves covering the whole background. I don't have it handy to show you. So anyway, trust me on that. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this card. So what I have decided to do is I decided to use Daffodil Delight for my base, and it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is just again a 4 sheets on one sheet of paper. So I get 4 cards out of one sheet of paper. The second layer is the cinnamon, what is this color called? It's called Cinnamon Cider, and it is 4 by 5 1/4. I'm using Very Vanilla, actually, which is not something I use quite often. I love it, but I just tend to always go to white for some reason. So I decided to bring in Very Vanilla for this one. And this layer is 3 3/4 by 10, and it's scored at 5, okay? And then we have a piece of old olive that we brought in, and it is at 3 3/4 by 4 1/2. And you'll notice that this is embossed using this embossing folder. Okay, so you can see how beautiful that actually is. It's really detailed, which is awesome. And then this piece here, I made at 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to see the embossing a little bit more. On my original card, you can't really tell that it's embossed. So I just wanted to showcase the embossing just a smidge more on this card. So the thing that we need to make note of is that this is a great project for your Stamparatus. I'm not going to use a Stamparatus right now for it, just because I want to be a show off. No, I'm just kidding. I just want to show you guys real quick how you can use this. But this is a great project for your Stamparatus. Okay, so your Stamparatus would line these two up perfectly, and you could do multiple. So when I actually go to do the swap for the completed swap, so I think I'm going to need probably 10 or 12 of these, I will use my Stamparatus, just set it up, and then I'm ready to go. So I need to stamp this as close to the bottom as I possibly can without going off the paper, just to allow enough room for my sunflowers. Go about there. Now I could have stamped my sunflowers first if I wanted to, but I decided to do my milk jug first. Okay, so there we go. And then I'm going to bring in my sunflowers. And now if this doesn't work, I'm gonna wish I had used my Stamparatus, right? So, lesson for me. So I'm just using my black memento ink too, is all I'm using there. So I'm gonna actually bring this closer to me so that I can see where I am lining this up. So if I was doing this on my Stamparatus, I actually wouldn't have to worry about making sure this is lined up, because it obviously would line right up with my Stamparatus. There we go. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, so put those to the side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in and I'm going to start gluing down my bases because we can do that. I hope I don't run out of glue. So I'm gonna glue this one down as such. And again, you probably, when I go to do this for my swaps, I will probably use tear and tape for this piece here, just because it's the main mechanism of my card and it's gonna probably get a lot of open and closing, and I wanna make sure it sticks really well. Just for this video, I'm just using my regular glue gun, which probably not a good idea, but learn from my mistakes. How about that? Okay, so there, okay? So we're happy so far. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just move this to the side because we're done with that. So this is definitely a blends card that, well, it doesn't have to be a blends card. It could be any coloring. I prefer my blends. You guys have heard me say that quite a few times, that I would rather use my blends more than anything. So what I'm using is I'm gonna use my chisel end on the dark gray granite is what I'm using. And I'm just gonna kind of go over the parts that I really want to shadow. In here. I'll leave it like that. And this piece here. And I mean, I probably spend too much time fiddling with that, and I shouldn't. Just kind of do it rough, but I'm gonna use my paintbrush end of my gray granite, and this is the light gray granite, and I'm going in a circular motion, very, very lightly. These are alcohol based, you've heard me say before. So that means that they will they will come off the pen very smooth. So you do not need to press hard on these by any means. And again, just going very quickly and very lightly. Okay, and then I'm going to come in here. Yes, like this. And I think what I'm going to do is actually with my chisel end, I'm just going to come in here. I didn't dare do that with my paintbrush end. I'm not that brave. So now if I wanted to, I could come back in and do a little bit more shading here on these items. Excuse me. And kind of go like that, but I think I'll leave that for now. I'm just doing this super quick just so that you get the idea. So then I'm going to bring in my brown. So I'm using soft suede. So I'm going to use the dark soft suede and then the light soft suede. So I'm going to use the chisel end. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do the dark center here, but I'm going to actually just kind of use some dots. I'm not going to color this all, just enough to give it just a little bit of darkness there. So there, and then I'm going to use my chisel end, or my paintbrush end, and I'm just going to come in and just swirl very, very light, like I'm barely touching the paper. So a lot of times when people use blends, they think that they're regular markers and that they have to press hard to get the ink to come out, and you do not with blends at all. So that's probably the biggest mistake, and you want to make sure that you're not ruining your tips of your pen, of your marker. Okay, so now I think what I'll do is I'll bring in my green next. So I am going to use Old Olive. So there's a light and there's a dark. And I think what I'll do is I'll bring in my chisel end here. I think I actually want to go back actually for 1 second. And I think I want to do this little guy here. And soft suede. Okay. It's a little tricky doing this upside down when there's all these little parts. Okay. I think that's good. And then I'm going to come in use this here. So I like to use a chisel end on the really small portions. And then my paintbrush end for the parts that are a little bit bigger, if that makes any sense. Just that's my preference. Not sure that's the right or the wrong way, but that's what I prefer to do. So you'll find that I do switch back and forth from chisel to paintbrush, or yeah, I guess paintbrush, tip. And sometimes you just have to kind of step back and take a look at what you're coloring to make sure that you're getting all the ends. So then I'm going to come in and I'm going to take my, this is Daffodil Delight. So this is my dark Daffodil Delight. Oh, and I want the other end. So some of these are actually very hard to open, and that's good. We do not want air getting in there. When air gets in, that means that it's drying out our markers. So we definitely don't want air in there. You want to make sure that when you're closing them up, that they're nice and tight. I know it's kind of a bit of a pain when you go to open them, because if you're like me and have weak hands, it's a bit of a struggle sometimes, but it's definitely well worth it. I'm going to do the center of this flower here. And I think I will do this little bud there. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with my Daffodil Delight. I think I actually need a new Daffodil Delight marker. So these now get sold in 2 packs. They used to be sold individually, so you could buy the light and the dark separate. They have now, with this new book, changed that. So when you purchase a color, you will automatically get both the light and the dark. So just as a heads up on that, they changed that just recently. So that's something that I'm trying to get used to as well. I wasn't sure how I felt about that, because sometimes one will run out more than the other. I find that I use like a light more than I will use a dark, or vice versa. But essentially, I guess the thought is they should roughly both run out at the same time. Okay, so I didn't miss anything there. I'm just gonna come in and do a little bit of green there, just because that looks a little bit empty. There. And did I miss any place else? I don't think so. So what would look really cool on this is a little bit of Wink of Stella on my sunflowers. But it's across the room, so I'm just going to go ahead and I can adhere that. I'm gonna put this right. And I could pop this up if I wanted to with dimensionals, right? And there's my card. And then I have to stamp something in the inside here. So I could go ahead and actually stamp the sunflowers here if I wanted as well. So that's the card. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'd love to hear your feedback on what you guys thought. So this is my original card. And then this is the one that I modified. So this will end up being my actual swap card likely. I'd love to hear some feedback. And if you are interested in purchasing either one of these two, the Jar of Flowers or the Country Home, please let me know and I can get those ordered for you. And you can always visit my website at Cindy Pigott, 2Gs2Ts, .stampinup.net. Or you can visit me on Facebook at Stampin' Chick Creations Stampin' Chick Creations on Facebook. But I also have my blog that you can type into your browser, stampingchickcreations.com, and it will take you right to my blog. So there's a few different ways that you can reach me. So be sure to stop by. I'd love to hear some comments and see what you guys think of these videos. And if there's anything specific you'd like to see, I'd love to do that for you. So anyway, hopefully you guys are enjoying your day and have a great night. Thanks for joining me. Thanks guys. Bye.